Hello, everyone. This is Mesha with As Long as You're Breathing. And of course, I have back, co founder of the network here, Elizabeth Kipp, author of The Way Through Chronic Pain and co author of several compilation books now, one of which we're here to talk about today. Welcome back, Elizabeth. Good to see you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mesa. It's great to be here.
Before we get started, I do want to say, y'all can hear how I sound, and y'all that follow me know that I got like elbow deep in the middle of flower arranging, and so this is how I sound. And I've been to the doctor this morning, and I do pretty well as long as I don't try to talk much, and then I start coughing. So I'm going to let Elizabeth just talk, and I know y'all are laughing at that. You're like, that woman can't keep her mouth shut if she had to, but I'm really going to try. Hi, good to have you. And then the next thing I want to say is, if you're watching and I seem to ignore a comment that you make or don't acknowledge you, it's because unless you have gone into settings and enable StreamYard, I can't see your posts. So please do go into your settings and enable StreamYard so that you can post and that we can see you, because we certainly want to acknowledge you. Hey, Wendy. Hey, so glad to have you. Good to see you, girl. Because we don't want to ignore anyone. We know there is a lot of programming on Facebook, and we are honored every time you are here. And if you are here watching the replay, please do let us know that as well, and feel free to contact either one of us with questions. We'll be happy to get back to you. And now to the incomparable author, poet extraordinaire, chronic pain expert, trauma-informed yoga instructor, and ancestral clearing specialist, and just all around genius, period. My friend, hello, Kim from Vancouver. My friend, I am so proud to say, and someone who gives so freely of her time here to our little page, the one and only Elizabeth Kipp, who is in another book project. Elizabeth, welcome back.
Wendy, thank you so much, Mesa. I'm so grateful to be able to talk to your audience today and tell you about this collaborative book project that I'm on and why it's important. I've been on a number of book projects, and they're really ways of getting the word out about a particular subject. But this latest one has really got me excited.
I can tell you're just beaming.
So Amy Gillespie, pardon me, I have my own issues with the throat, by the way. Amy Gillespie Doherty is spearheading this project. Fascinating woman.
Okay.
She had a vision, right, of doing 4 book projects on Ancestral, and it all starts with the title part, The Ancestors Within. Here's the bookmark that I made.
Mm-hmm.
That's the picture on the top of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I made a little bookmark for everybody that buys a pre-order copy from an autographed copy from me. They get a free bookmark. That's the back, and then they get a little booklet of ancestral clearing prayers.
Elizabeth Kipp, of course.
So anyway, that's just a thing that I'm doing to. I'm just so excited about this project. So Amy Gillespie was adopted.
Okay.
And she is a really interesting person. She does this. She was wondering her whole life, who are my parents? And she has an adopted brother. So, right. So he didn't care. He wasn't the least bit interested. But Amy was like, I got to know who these people are. And it turns out that she's now got a business called Irogenics, where she looks at your iris, and you can tell from their macro image. This is very close up of the iris. I was like stunned when she did mine. Stunned, and they can see your ancestors in your eyes.
I don't even know what that means, Elizabeth. What does that mean?
So I was like, what is this? So she gave me a free session. We're trading sessions. I'm giving her an ancestral clearing session in a week, and she did this session for me where we're trading. So I was like, how's this even going to work, right? Because I'm a scientist. I want to know the facts, right? And it was the darndest thing. There's certain markings in the eye that indicate certain things, and she nailed part of my lineage just like that. You can actually see in one of my eyes, you can actually see a woman who looks like I know this sounds weird, but you can see it. A woman that looks like she's dressed in the 1940s. And I know, and the energy around that, you can see from the dress, the way she's dressed, that it's that way, right? And the story around it that she found in the eye, which just raised the hair on the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, was that whoever this person was doing good deeds, but it was having a bad result for her. And when she said that, it just stopped me in my tracks, because my grandmother, who was a Vogue model, by the way, in the Roaring 20s, and then in the 40s when World War II came along, she was on the very last ship that came from England to America, and it was torpedoed by the Germans. And they were getting off the ship. She had her young son, Jay, who's the namesake of my brother now, and my brother's his namesake. She had this little 2-year-old in her arms, and she was ready to get on one of the rescue boats. And there was a pregnant woman right ahead of her. And she said, no, you go ahead of me. And the pregnant woman went ahead, and then the ship went down. And my grandmother and Jay were lost at sea. So she saw that in my eye. I'm like, what? That's highly specific,
That is unbelievable. And I know you, and I know you don't go for the unbelievable. So
no. Oh no.
You had to have, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, and it wasn't just one thing. It was like, there were like 3 things that she mentioned. There's this thing, and there's this thing. The other one, which I thought was so interesting, was persecution, a religious persecution. And I'm like, are you kidding me? My family came over from France because of Catholic persecution. So, like, how does that, a lot of people have religious persecution. Sure. But she got very, very specific about the date. And I'm like, oh my God, that actually is when they came, so it was very interesting. So Amy brings an A game. Amy brings an A game on every level, right? So she's got this beautiful vision for these 4 different books, all starting with Ancestors Within. Plus she's got an outstanding business. The first book is called The Ancestors Within: Reveal and Heal the Ancient Memories You Carry. So it's all about discovering the ancestors, understanding like how to even acknowledge that they're there, that whole journey. And in the book, there's 25 of us are in the ancestral healing arts, and we're all writing a different chapter about our work. It's amazing. And each one of these books will have 25 different people in it. I'm hoping to be in books 1, 2, and 4. Because they all will pertain to kind of my area of the ancestral clearing work. The third book is on straight up ceremony. And my ancestral clearing is, I wouldn't call it ceremony. So it's a process, but it's not ceremony per se. So I'm not like going to engage in that. So that'll be the whole book, all ceremonies released on connecting with the ancestors, which is amazing. And the other 2, I don't remember exactly what they are, but they're different perspectives on ancestral clearing, on ancestral healing. And I think it's pretty cool. It's very timely because ancestral healing is becoming more mainstream, and people are wanting it and realizing how important it is. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but people are really realizing how important it is. And so it's exciting to me that Amy's bringing all of us together. She has a vision for a summit, 2 summits, one in 2020, later this year or maybe early next year, and then the following year, of 101 presenters, big summit online, 101 presenters on various aspects of ancestral clearing, ancestral healing. So it's going to be amazing. Yeah. So big vision, right?
Yes. Kim Marie is asking, do they order this book through your page? It's not available yet, correct?
It's launching on May 4th. You can get it in Kindle and you can get it in Kindle or order it in paperback on May 4th, or you can order it from me on my website, a paperback copy. Just email me at elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com, and I'll send you the link to order an autographed copy. I won't be able to get any of my copies until the end of May, but I'll autograph them and everybody gets a free, beautiful, custom-made bookmark, and then a free collection of 10 ancestral clearing prayers that go with my work. So anyway, yeah. So Elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com. Just hit me up with an email and I'll hook you up. Yeah. And also I'm selling it for, I'm selling the paperback autograph copy with this gift, these 2 gifts, for $17 plus, I think it's $6 for postage. So it's a little bit lower than Amazon.
Yeah, I know for. Yeah, I think that's the one I got just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
I'm getting everything all ready.
No.
I just got this stuff back from the printer, and I'm getting it all packaged up. I made little stickers. See this here? This little thing?
Yes.
I got little stickers made of that. So anyway. So
that's exciting.
This is the tree. This is our family tree, right? So anyway, so I'm having fun with the project.
Yes.
So that's the big vision that Amy had, and I was thrilled to come in and be a part of it. And I'd like to ask if anybody has any questions, and then I'm going to go in and tell you about each of the chapters.
I'm not seeing any more right now. I will say that I have done the ancestral clearings that you did for the page. I have done them now, I don't know, probably 4 times myself. I lose more and more inflammation every time. My weight is coming off easier and easier because of it. I've had a visit from my paternal grandmother who I had issues with. There has been a huge family revelation about this anger issue in my family that you sensed, that I now know what it was. And that has, it's not anything I can prove, et cetera, but she and I have cleared the air about that. And I know things now that, it's like, holy smokes, that explains everything. It has made such a difference in my life. And I'm like, I don't really know what it does, because I sit and I listen to you do these beautiful prayers, essentially is what they are. And I just sit and listen. And the same thing happens on the first one. It's my solar plexus. On the second one, it's my heart chakra every time. And then I have to rest a whole lot and drink a whole lot for a couple of days every time. It's a little less, every time, but still it's very impactful every time. But I have the same physical, I get better and better in the same way physically every time. And I'm like, Elizabeth Kipp is just, but so I really don't understand what it does other than I know it works. And so, and I tell everyone, I'm like, you don't know what a gift this woman gave us when she did these for us. And so I keep putting them back at the top of the page. I keep telling people about them. So when you said this is what you wanted to talk about, I'm like, I'm so glad, because I still don't understand how it works, but I know it works because I knew there was this big, when you said there's some sort of anger issue in your family, and I've been dying to do this with you. And I'm like, and I knew there was too. And my family has denied this all along, but I knew there was. And I'm not going to talk about it openly here because it's family, but whenever it all came up and unfolded, I'm like, it explained everything. And talk about a release of confusion, and that directly affected my entire upbringing. And just so I really don't understand how it works, Elizabeth, but I know that what you do is, well, it's there's a magic to it. I know that. So no one else is asking. So just tell us however you want to address this, however you want to. If it's by the chapters, if you want to ask what I just said, however you want to proceed, please do.
Well, I'm happy to. I'm happy to share with you what I know, because I have to say I felt. I thank you so much for sharing your experience. It means a lot to hear that. And I have to say, the first time that I experienced ancestral clearing, I felt a shift in my body, and I was like, I had my science hat on, of course, and I said, "What just happened? I know something happened. Is it measurable? Is it repeatable? And does he teach it?" So I'm like, what's going on here? I was 100% lit up and just like 100% curious. And the answer to all those questions was yes. And I was like, awesome. So the first training I could take, I did. This is John Newton's work from Health Beyond Belief. You can Google him, John Newton, Health Beyond Belief. He's my teacher. He teaches how to do this. He gives a weekly, he's got a beautiful weekly call program on Mondays where he does group ancestral clearings over the phone. And he does ancestral. He does. Here's another question. Great. I'll get to that in just a moment. And he does an advanced program twice a month, Wednesday nights. So it's he's my teacher. He's amazing. Anybody can do this work. It's not like John's so special or I'm so special, and he'd be the first person to say that. So would I, because we're asking for creator energy to come in and help us. I don't know how to do this work. It's too complicated for me. It's beyond my pay grade, right? But the creator totally knows. Yeah. So we're bringing in as practitioners. You're asking as the client. You're asking for the help. When we ask for help from our heart, we get it. It's my experience. And people say, and you don't even have to believe in a higher power for this work to work. I've experienced that too. It's kind of like, you don't have to believe in gravity for it to act on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So it's, I feel like the work that ancestral clearing does works on the epigenetic level. So it's a switch on the outside of the epigenetic on the gene. It's an on-off switch that, depending on the environment, it flips from on to off. And when you bring in ancestral clearing as part of the environment, you get some switches. Kundalini yoga does that too. Yoga in general does that. Kundalini just does it faster. So these are all things that happen on an epigenetic level. I feel I would like to see some actual research done on that. And so that's kind of where I would go if I had the money and the resources. I would go there. I would find out. I kind of feel like, is there a way we could do a blood test before and after that would measure an epigenetic change?
Yes,
that's what I'm after.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a question from Kim. Could you read it to me, please?
Yes. Since we have been here during many lives and had many families, how do the clearings work when we have so many crossovers from these lives?
Great question. So this is the way it works. My process works. It works in the present moment. So whatever's coming up for us in this moment is what we clear for. So Mesha has an allergy problem right now. So we would do a clearing for that allergy. Now, I can't say, because I don't have this kind of vision or knowledge, I can't say where that was in her lineage, but I can pretty much guess, knowing her history of allergies, that she has that there's allergy tendencies in her family. And when we clear in the present moment, we clear all of it, because we're doing in the quantum moment, in the quantum field, the present moment accesses past, present, and future. So we access all of it. So when we clear for here, we clear for all. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And it's interesting because I remember oh my God. So again, science here, right? And trained that way. And I remember having a private session with John Newton, doing a clearing he was doing a clearing for me. And he's like, part of the process is wait for a memory to come. Don't look for it, wait for it to come to you. And I had this vision of being tied to a post, and there was this fire and people were looking at me. And I'm like, dude, this never happened in this life. Like, what's this? And it was a past life. Sure. I'd never had any experience of anything like that. So I didn't know, I'd heard of it, but I had no experience of it, but it was so real. And I was like, oh, now I get it.
I'm quite sure that probably happened to me in a past life too.
Oh my goodness. So I understood about past lives having, because it was really interesting how real it was. So I understand that. Now, from another point of view, and I could go off on this, and I talk about it a little bit in my chapter in this book. I love what Kim said, because she brought in a really important point. And I'll make it really simple, because I could spend the rest of the time talking about this. That air you just breathed, how many different creatures and places do you think that those air molecules were in before you breathed it in?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all the elements and all the molecules on Earth, they've been around since Earth's been around. And so they just keep recycling in different forms. And the oxygen molecule that you just breathed in and breathed out, which is, oxygen and O2. So has been in water, has been in, a dinosaur, has been in plants, has been all over many iterations through its own lifespan. I mean, it just keeps recirculating.
Inhaled and exhaled, inhaled and exhaled.
Yeah. So from that point of view, that's amazing. Let's see. Yeah, my maternal grandmother and her sister. Yeah, so it's interesting, Wendy, that you bring that in. I do these ancestral clearings pretty much everywhere on the planet, somewhere every day, online, on the phone, in person, whatever. And recently, what's been coming in a lot is this I won't say vendetta energy, although that's coming in too, but this very intense resentment within families, very intense resentment within families has been coming in for clients lately. And we clear for that stuff. We hope. And didn't you say you had some clearing for that in your own family, right, Nisha?
Yes, that is exactly. There had always been something, my grandmother and me, I was not a favorite grandchild by any means with her, was with my grandfather, not with her. And she's this little 4'9" woman that everybody would have thought was the quintessential perfect little grandmother. And she had an issue with me and always did. And the rest of the family didn't see it, but I did, and I would say these things, and other people would be like, no, she didn't. And I'm like, yes, she did. And sure enough, I saw things that later, things have come up over the past few years, and I would say, it makes perfect sense to me. I understood it. And family members would say, we're not getting this. Where's this coming from? And I'm like, I saw it all along. I get it. And so when I did the ancestral clearings with you, she came to me, and I'm like, why are you, because she's gone, she's passed, and I'm like, why are you here? I know you and I have issues, and why are you here? And I could tell there was like still a resentment. She didn't say anything, but there's still like a resentment. And so then I did because I've done the clearing several times, and then after another time of doing it, I was looking in the mirror and realized, I'm thinking about how much I look like my dad. And then I get this immediate message about that. And then I realize a whole bunch of stuff starts coming, and making sense. And so the story starts to unfold. And as I start putting it together, she comes back, and I'm like, it's not like I'm going to tell anyone, no one's going to believe me. There's no proof, I've asked. And so, but, and then after she and I cleared that and she went away, then my guiding angel, that the one that I work with, Raziel, he came back and then told me the whole story, beginning to end. And it explains what went on with my aunt, that started all of this, that I knew that I had not imagined things, that there had been an issue, what went on with my uncle and why things were the way they were, why my dad had behaved the way he had my whole life, why my grandmother and grandfather had really never gotten along and really didn't live together. They lived together off and on for as long as I can remember, why I was a favorite of his and not of hers, and why my dad had raised me the way he did, raised my sister the way he did, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things fell into perfect. And there's no way I could have made this stuff up. Even the names I was given a family name, and it even that made perfect sense. And I'm like, holy smokes, I understand it all now. And a level of the pain that I have dealt with, that I've had to use meditation and grounding and centering to keep at bay because of the fibromyalgia, a level of that cleared because of it. It was just amazing, the change, and it's like, and all of this because I did at least, I've done it at least 4 times. And each time I did it, I could feel that I was getting more and more of this. And I guess it was the second time is when she came. And then the third time is when I got this, got the first revelation. And then the fourth time is when Raziel came and told me the whole story. And I'm like, whoa, I understand completely now. And it is a very tangled family story that explains exactly why everybody behaved the way they did, why, and it's like, and it caused so much anger and bitterness, and it's very sad. But at the same time, but I have no heaviness or none of that affects me now. It's like, okay, it wasn't about me, it affected me and how I was raised and how I was treated, but okay, and now that, they're all gone for the most part. My dad is gone, my grandmother's gone, my grandfather's gone, and it's like, y'all keep it on that side. If y'all aren't done with it, y'all aren't done with it. I'm done with it,
Yeah. So a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I've got a bunch of things to say about it. One, no wonder you had a throat issue because no one would believe what you were saying. So what the hell? Right? That's an issue right there. I'm surprised you didn't have hearing problems too. And eye problems because you're not being seen, heard, or any of that believed. So that's all, right? So that creates a lot of problem. And then you've got this other thing, right? So it's a lot. And then, yes, I'm just getting to that, Kim. So here's what happens. And I've had a felt experience of this. So, my science mind is like, how does this work? Right. So, as I said, we deal with the quantum, we're working in the present moment, which is a quantum, past, present, all accessible in the present moment. So when we clear ourselves, we clear the lineage front and back. So we clear behind us, we clear our ancestors, and we clear our descendants. My son had an interesting health challenge. Was it last year? And he called me and said, I have this thing, and what's your take on it? And I was like, well, yeah, of course you have this thing. In ancestral clearing, it represents this. And he was like, oh my God, So a part of his he did lots of other things, but we included the ancestral clearing perspective into the things, and so it wasn't like I cleared my own stuff and it helped clear him, right? And I have clients that say to me, oh, could you please work on my child? And it doesn't work like that, because I will work with children provided their parent is present and the child has asked for the work, but we don't do the work unless we're asked to do it. It's one of the rules. It's powerful. Who am I to change somebody's trajectory without permission? So or to be I wouldn't say I do the changing. I create the conditions for the changing, and so I have responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. So what we do is we work on the parent on how they feel about their children's thing.
Okay.
Oh, my child, is getting bullied at school. So we cleared the parents about that, and it helps the child. It's the coolest thing, right? Oh, I'm having a fight with my husband. He won't do the work. And I'm like, okay, let's clear your charge around where you feel that, and the relationship shifts. It's the coolest thing. It's very interesting to me. And I'll share with you that I was in, again, another kind of raising the hair on the back of my neck experience. I was in Costa Rica. My people do not come from Costa Rica. It doesn't matter. This is what happened. I was in Costa Rica at this beautiful nature preserve. I was meditating. I was in a group. We were doing this very specific meditation to clear the past. Yes, and Kim Marie says, I get it. Yeah, exactly, right? So I'll share with you this cool experience. So the way it goes is we sit cross-legged on the floor. You can sit in a chair, and you take the hands. I'm going to move back just a little bit. You take the hands and you bring them back over the head like this. So we're doing this, and you do Waheguru, 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 and you just keep doing that. That's the chant. And Waheguru means, wow, teacher that takes us from darkness to light.
Wow, teacher that takes us from darkness to light.
Wahe, wow. And guru means teacher that takes us from darkness to light. Geo is friend. So it's Waheguru, 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 right? So we're doing this, and we're imagining letting go of what no longer serves. So it's not like the first time I've done that meditation. I've done it a bunch of times, but I just happened to be in Costa Rica at this particular time, and I'm in this group, and I get somewhere in that meditation. All of a sudden, I felt the energy and heard the voices of my ancestors right in that space, right around me, and I'm like, okay, and I keep Waheguru, right? I'm like, okay. And they're like, thank you so much for doing the work, Yeah. And I felt held and lifted, and I can't really explain it, but I don't understand the mechanism really in terms of like sciencey stuff, but hear me. We live in the all that is, right? In the all that is. Science lives in the part of the all that is that you can observe, measure, and describe. So
say that again, because that is so profound.
Yeah. So we live in the all that is. Science lives in the part of the all that is that it can observe, measure, and describe. It cannot comment on anything else.
Right.
So just because science hasn't wrapped its, been able to observe, measure, or describe something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
Right. So when we hear, for instance, and I'll go into my little chronic pain thing, but it helps explain ancestral clearing. When we hear from a doctor, which I heard, you will be in level 10 out of pain, 7 out of 10 pain for the rest of your life, and you will be in a wheelchair when you're 40. He's looking from his viewpoint, and he's forgotten his basic science, which is everything's probable. It's not black and white. It's not where you will be. It's probable that. He didn't even say that, right? So, and he's looking from his perspective. So I looked at the all that is for my healing, not just from the sciencey part.
Right.
And it widened my horizon, and that's where I found the hope, because you know what? He shut the door on hope when he said that, and he wasn't the only doctor that gave me a pronouncement like that. So my lesson from that was believe the diagnosis, but not the prognosis.
Wow. Believe the diagnosis, but not the prognosis.
That's it. Yeah. So where are you looking?
Yes.
So when they give you a prognosis, where are you looking? What's your perspective? Right? Yeah.
Right. Which is what I say years ago, whenever we separated out the spiritual and the scientific, or the spiritual and the physical, that, we couldn't do that, because you can't, because both exist. And so whenever we said we can have science, but we can't have the spiritual with it, we eliminated a whole half of all existence. We a whole half of all that is, and that is what the doctors did with you, because the spiritual or the metaphysical or whatever you want to call it is where we have gone to get so many of the other answers, or whatever realm we want to call it, whatever realm epigenetics is in, or whatever realm, quantum physics is in. I suppose it's a type of science, but it's not been necessarily acknowledged as such by some people. So whenever we divided everything up and said that it has to be, we can't have belief and science commingle. Well, you can't separate the two,
Yeah, that was an error.
It was an error.
Yeah. So traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda and the ancient yogis all knew you can't separate mind, body from spirit. Western science is just beginning to figure that out. And I always asked this question since I was really young, like 4 years old. I remember asking my dad, okay, Dad, there's this like religious world, and then there's like this world, and where do they meet? Because I knew that they were like different, but not the same. And his answer to me was, you ask too many questions. And so I'm like, what? And so I stopped asking the question, but I never stopped asking the question. I kept having the question. And finally, when I learned about quantum physics, I went, aha!
There's the answer.
They join in the present moment in the quantum field. That's where they join, right?
Yes, right. I know. Whenever I discovered quantum physics, I'm like, oh my gosh, finally. And I had a friend this week who basically said what you did. I was a small child, and I'm like, wait a second, what's this faith stuff in this? How do these two worlds go together? And was told, you're asking too many questions, or there's no answer to that question, or don't go there, or whatever. And it was like, but I just kept saying, but what? And so and there's so many of us that when we were very young, we were like, wait a second, hold on, something's not right here. And now here we are today, and thank goodness we asked these questions, yeah.
So it's like my conclusion about all that stuff was, we've been having an argument over what to call the light, but it's a light.
It's a light.
Yes.
And
it's pretty simple. So, and the reductionist view that science has is useful to a point and then misses the point, depending, so it serves us until it doesn't. And let me give you another example.
Okay.
Chronic pain is an enigma. I'll bring that in, because it's another thing I do. And this is why it's so interesting and why it's an enigma, but it speaks to the mind, body, spirit complex as a thing. So I have this x-ray. If you looked at my back, I have a displaced vertebra in my spine that's slipped forward about 80%. It pulls all the leg nerves with it. And doctors look at me. I have a fixture in there holding it to keeping it from slipping anymore. But doctors generally, who don't know any better and don't know me, look at the x-ray and they go, "Oh, how are you even walking? And did you say you're a yoga teacher? And here are your opiates." Because they just assume, So here's the thing. You could have 3 people with my x-ray, or somebody else with 3 other people with like a herniated disc x-ray, all the same condition, right? Mm-hmm. And here's what you'd find. One person wouldn't have any symptoms at all. The other person would have symptoms when they're stressed, and the other person would have symptoms of pain all the time. Yes. Now, what? You're going to tell me the x-rays look the same, and yet there's this difference? Well, hey, you're looking at it from a reductionist point of view. You have to think about the whole person. What else is going on? Because you're missing something, right? So the reductionist viewpoint serves us to a point until it doesn't.
Right. And I think what you said about the light, we're arguing about what the light is,
The name of the light, not just what it is. Everybody knows what it is, but its name. It's like, right. Wow.
So I think my question always is why are we arguing about it at all? Why aren't we just discussing it? And as we discuss it and more unfolds about it, because discussion causes us to have discovery. And as we have discovery, why don't we all just go, "Oh yeah," and as the next person says something, go, "Oh yeah." Why aren't we just all open-minded having these discussions, instead of being closed-minded and in our corner with, "This is my point of view." And, why aren't we all just open-mindedly having discussions so that we're all going, "Oh yeah." And because then we have all of this information and points of view brought in, and one person gets this and one person gets that. And then we have more and more discovery. And so if we all came at things from that way, and I just, because that's how I like to do things. I have a project that I recently just started with a few people, and the way I started it out was with this video saying, "Okay, this is my vision, and now you all come back at me with what you're thinking." And they all kind of went to this one person and said, "Well, this is kind of our thoughts." And this one person was like, so just say so, because that's truly how I work is I say what I'm thinking, but then I want that is to get the thinking started. And then I'm like, because when you come back at me, I'm like, "Oh yeah," because that's what you do. One person saying something causes another person to think something, and it's a cumulative effect. And so
yeah. But you have to come from a place of curiosity.
Yes, a place of curiosity. And that is where, and I think I'm always saying I'm a girly girl. And I guess what I really mean by that is I'm one of these wide-eyed, everything makes me go, "Oh," I'm constantly in a state of curiosity. And I kind of downplay it and say, I'm a girly girl, there's the sunrise. Oh, there's something new. Oh, but it's really, I'm constantly curious and wide-eyed about things, and they all make me just wonder, what does that mean? What's next?
That's why you've survived all this time, because your curiosity has served you.
Yeah.
Right. And also you come from this place of wonder and gratitude.
I do. And I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go so far to say, because you and I have this in common. I came in with it.
Yes.
It was a gift, and you did too. It was it came with the package. I don't say like I didn't think it up. It just arrived with me, you know.
It did me too. Yes.
Thing, right?
Yes.
So ancestral clearing is only for us, or that can be. Oh yes, yes. So this is how we work. I love that question.
I do too. I knew you would.
So this is how it works. When you ask a practitioner for an ancestral clearing, we're allowed to do the work for someone who asks for the work. And when we have a common agreement, then we can do the work for everybody. For instance, I get on a plane, on an airplane, we have a common agreement that we're all going to go from point A to point B together. I don't have to ask everybody on the prayer in the plane if I can run ancestral clearing prayers. I just sit on the plane and run ancestral clearing prayers the whole time. That's what I do on a plane.
I want to be on the plane with you.
I just run the prayers. Well, as opposed to what I used to years ago, before I, changed my ways, I used to sit in the chair and try to imagine telling the pilot how to fly the plane. Like keep us afloat and, all this fear-based stuff. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, that's not my area. This is my area. Right. Right. So we have a common agreement. So, and yes, I pray for the planet on a regular, every night. I run prayers, during the night. And part of that work is for the planet. I have people that come to me and say, would you, can you run a prayer for me tonight about this, or about that? And I do that. Or so-and-so is transitioning right now. Could you run a prayer for him or her, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So that's how we do that. If we have a common agreement, we can do the prayer on everybody's behalf. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if it's a single person, we have to ask. Oh, my friend's in the hospital. Could you please go pray for him? Well, if the person's in a coma, I'd have to get permission from a family member, and who knew that he would appreciate that person in a coma would actually appreciate the work, not just an off, kind of thing. Because we have very tight ethics around doing the work. Yeah.
Interesting. You also do them for I think you mentioned once a building that you and a friend cleared a building.
Yes, we do. We do people, animals, spaces, places, artifacts, things, right? Like old, you get an antique at an antique store. Your grandmother gives you XYZ or whatever. We clear that. I've cleared spaces before. Every once in a while, someone comes to me and says, I think there's a ghost in the house. And I go over and I do some clearing work and it disappears. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it is amazing. It's quite, and the thing about the animals, we clear the owner of the animal first, and then we see what the animal wants. And the interesting thing about that is the animal will present itself to me.
Yes. You've talked about that. Yes.
Yeah, and it'll present itself where it's hurting. It'll present it's really, and the owner's thinking what's over here. And it's no, it's this other place because this is where the animal showed me. So it's pretty cool. It's a very exciting process, but I would like to say, just wrapping up,
yes, please do. Yeah,
that's my process, and I talk about my process in the book. Kind of a short version. There's an ancestral clearing and prayer in there, so you can have an experience of it. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to say that when you watch the replay of an ancestral clearing, and you've spoken to this, it's just as powerful as the live session. Again, speaking to the fact that we're in the quantum field. Mm-hmm. So we're accessing past, present, future. That's how it works. There's 24 other authors in this book, The Ancestors Within, Reveal and Heal the Ancient Memories You Carry, that's launching on May 4th. 24 others besides me that all have their own story and tool. And so I really encourage you to check it out. Very interesting anthology. And there's 3 more books coming that'll be different stories and different tools. And I'll be doing a variation on my tool and a different perspective in the other 2 books that I want to be part of. And the summit's going to be amazing because it'll be interactive, right?
Yeah,
so,
I can't wait for the summit. That is going to be so. And do we have any idea when that's going to be?
I don't have a date yet. I think she said the end of 2021 or maybe early 2022.
Yes.
So I don't have any input on the date or the timing or anything. I'm just going to show up when I'm asked to show up. Yeah. Reiki. Now, Reiki's, yes, that's right, Kim Marie, absolutely right. Animal Reiki. So this is really interesting to me because I have my friend Lana Marie Haas, fabulous Reiki practitioner. She's right here in Lawrence. She'll help me clear spaces. She gets out her sound bowls, her beautiful crystal bowls, and then I do my ancestral clearing prayers, and that's how we clear spaces. We work together. It's very powerful. And so her Reiki, so my experience of Reiki is that we're working in the same energy, Kim, but we're doing different things. We're just kind of accessing it a little bit differently and bringing in a little bit different perspective, but both so powerful. Yeah, so powerful. I'm so grateful that you came too.
Yes.
So
I'm very thankful too, and love that her guides led her to us. You know, that is we're all in vibrational alignment when we're attracting the right things. So that is a wonderful thing. Yes. So what else would you like to tell us about the book or about what you have going on, Elizabeth? Because we're about at 51 minutes. So I want you to get anything that you have.
I don't really feel like I have time to go through everybody's chapter, but okay. It's an amazing conglomerate of people. The fact that there were 25 people who were all in the ancestral healing arts that wanted to write a chapter and be in a collaborative book project blew my mind.
I didn't know there were that many. I knew there was Elizabeth Kipp and who taught Elizabeth Kipp. And I knew there was maybe somebody else that Elizabeth Kipp had told about it and they'd learned. And then, that's kind of all I knew. And so.
Right. And none of these people except me do John Newton's ancestral clearing. They all do their own version. It's pretty cool. Now, what's interesting is I've sat in interviews with these people and I've gotten to know them. Mm-hmm. We're all working again, like the Reiki, like Kim talked about the Reiki. We're all working from a very similar angle. And when we sit together in a room, we're all a touchstone for each other. It's really quite remarkable. Just a slightly different variation of the perspective. I'll give you an example. As an ancestral clearing practitioner, imagine a wheel with a hub and spokes, right? And as an ancestral clearing practitioner, I'm sitting right in the center of the hub. And so is Creator, right? And so it gives us access to all the other spokes. When we sit in the center, we have access to all the other spokes. Right. Now, open that vision up for a minute and imagine a sphere. And you have access to all these different, everywhere on the whole sphere because you're right in the center point. That's what it's like sitting with a group of 25 ancestral clearing healers. We all have access to all these. It gives us access to the whole. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes it like a quantum physics model.
It's all present moment work, and all of them realize that. They all realize the ancestors are right here with us. They're right here with us, literally in the DNA. Everything that happened before us culminated in us being in this moment. So it's up to us to do the work to clear what they couldn't, because it's our turn this time. In the present moment. Yeah. And when we access the present moment, we have access to the past and the future. So we clear for all of it. Yeah.
We have we have about 6 minutes, so why don't you tell people how they work with you and what that means? And
Sure. Yeah. So you can find me on my website, Elizabeth. You have to put a dash in there, elizabeth-kipp.com. Uh, the elizabethkipp.com is the website of a photographer who's not me. And I asked her if she'd sell me her domain name, and she said, yeah, for $10,000. So I was like, oh, I think I'll put a dash in there and save the cost. Right. So Elizabeth-kipp.com. And she's a great photographer, by the way. I just, we just had a disagreement about that. I just had another way of getting the name, right? The domain name. So you can find me there. You can email me at elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com. And I do private sessions of 50 minutes. I'm working now on during COVID, because COVID has stressed everybody in so many ways. I feel the work needs to be done, and a lot of people are financially strapped because of what COVID has done to everyone. So I work now on a donation only basis. The value of 50 minutes is $100, but you bring in what you can, because we need the work more than ever. So that's the way I changed my whole business model when COVID hit. I also teach trauma-informed yoga on Thursday evenings. You can email me about that. You can get on I got a newsletter. It goes out. I send a newsletter out about every week or two, maybe. Not a lot. It'll just keep you up to date on what I'm up to. On Sundays, the fourth Sunday of every month, so it'll be this Sunday, the Wellness Universe, sorry, not the Wellness Universe, is another place I work, the Divine Wellness Community, divinewellnesscommunity.com out of St. Louis, is an online platform of lots of practitioners. Every Sunday, every fourth Sunday of the month, I do an ancestral clearing support group, which is a love offering only. Again, you can come in for free. You can give a donation if you want. divinewellnesscommunity.com.
yes.
It's in the Sunday afternoon. And so you can find me online. Yeah. I'm on Facebook. I'm kind of all over, but feel free to instant message me or shoot me an email or contact me through my website. Yeah. Thank you so much, Misha.
Oh, always. And of course, I try to have her here all the time and encourage her to share everything here. And if I see something, I share it as well. So, and I try to keep all of her stuff pushed up to the top. So, because I truly, I know that the work she does is valuable, and I know it has helped me, and I know that. Well, I feel Elizabeth's heart. And so I know that the first time I saw her, we have someone else. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know the first time I saw you, which was on the Wellness Universe, actually. The first time I saw her there, I'm like, I've got to keep up with this woman. And so, and I have ever since. And so, and I'm just so glad that I did. So thank you for coming with us today and talking about the book. And for those of you, I have the book coming. I have the signed copy and all of that stuff. I did that. And we do have a couple minutes. So if anyone has any other questions, please do chime in, because we've got about a minute left. But I did put the divinewellnesscommunity.com there. That is where you can find Elizabeth the fourth Sunday. And Elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com is the email, and Elizabeth-kipp.com is the website. And yes, I have mistakenly gone to the photographer, and it is a beautiful photography, but you will recognize immediately that this is not our Elizabeth Kipp. So you're like, yes, this is great, but this is not who I'm looking for. So in the meantime, what we have coming up next week is Sherry Moyse has a retreat going on next week. So I will be helping with that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 1 to 2:30ish each day. And then in May, we have, of course, we're going to have to find a day for Elizabeth to come back. We have not done that yet, but so we have to figure that out. But we have Michaela coming back to talk about, of course, second soulmates, because that's what Michaela does. This helps people their journey with second soulmates. And then she has a workshop that I'm going to be helping her with. I'm going to be singing at, of course, on the 7th and 8th of May. And then Elaine Merrifield on the 11th and the 18th at 2 p.m. We're doing her Every Life is a Story event, and we're dividing it in two because Elaine's story is very long. Elaine, I know from the chronic pain and visible illness world, her story is very much like mine in the healthcare industry, has chronic pain and invisible illness herself, been online helping people for years, and a fascinating lady. And then Ricky McKenna, chef who believes that all healthy food can be fun. She's going to be with us on the 20th, and we're going to start following Ricky. And then my birthday is in May, and so I'm going to take off that last week. And so, I'm going to be 56. So I'm going to be turning 56 in May. So we have that coming up in May. So that's what May's looking like. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you all for the questions and participation. And remember, as long as you're breathing, let's all be living in big capital letters. Talk to y'all later. Bye.